I'm late. I'm late for a very important date. Hey, everybody. So I'm going to wait a moment or two. If you're seeing this, then you're watching the replay, which just means that you can't converse with us live. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be valuable information to watch. Hello, Miss Tina. Do I have a lot of my team members in this group? I did not know. I did not realize. I guess I just didn't realize what this group consisted of, because I see Judy's in here and all kinds of my peeps. Hey, Crystal. Wow, is this really that wobbly tonight? Sorry. Okay. Well, I know that it's somewhat late for some of you. If you're on the East Coast, it's 9 o'clock. And I kind of just figured I did not really get a topic to talk about, or a length of time. And if anybody, well, some of you know me, I like to talk. Hi, Dina. Hello. 6 people. Okay, good. So I figured that I would talk about the topic at hand, which is primarily becoming a director. I could talk to you about Facebook parties, but you can go on the Facebook party group and see that. I could talk to you about finding your why, but you can watch the video in the global live cast that we just had last weekend. If you're not in there, you need to be in there. Hello, Miss Kate Lundquist. So I figured instead of talking about topics that I talk about all the time, I'm gonna stick to the topic at task, which is becoming a director. And some of the things that I think are really important to you as a consultant to consider, to think of, to make part of your daily to-do, in order to set yourself up and act like a director, right? So the first thing that we hear all the time, that I remember being told, is if you want to be a director, you have to act like one, right? If you want to be a superstar director, you need to act like one. You need to do what directors do. Hello. Hi, Edna. Hi, Crystal. You need to do what directors do. What does that mean, Edie? What does that mean? What do? I want to know what to do so that I can make director. See, here's the thing, is being a leader starts before you even get to being a director. So if you've got a team, and a team is more than one person, in other words, more than you, then you have started the role of being a leader. And I hope that somebody along the way has said, hey, you know what? You've got a team of 1 plus yourself. That's a team. You need to be creating yourself a team group. You need to create yourself a team page, something where you can begin the leadership skills right from the beginning with whoever it is that's joining your team, whoever it is that's looking to you for guidance, right? So we're having a major thunderstorm. I hope we don't lose it. Shh, we're not going to lose electricity. Hey, Robin. Hi, Allison. You know what's funny? I'm seeing some names in here and I'm thinking, I thought they were already directors. So you guys must be doing what I'm talking about already. So it's super, super, super important that you start your journey off as a leader, being a leader. And what do leaders do? Leaders lead by example. Leaders motivate. Leaders coach. Leaders support. Leaders cheerlead, right? So all of these different things are things that we need to take into consideration as to how it's going to be played out through our character, through who we are as an individual. Because I can't lead like Kate Lundquist. I can't lead like Katie Farner. I can't lead like Deanie Morehouse, right? I lead like Edie leads. And so you need to find where you fit in that and what's comfortable for you to lead. Storm here too. Oh, that's okay. Listen, if you are a director, you are a director. That's how I feel. SSC, director, SC, SSD, doesn't matter. So find your leadership style. Find how you're comfortable in leading. And I'm going to use an example, not necessarily with names, but I have people on my own team that lead differently than I do. Some of them are fantastic cheerleaders. They're fantastic motivators. They're definitely somebody that wants, if you want to be lifted up, they're the people that you want to go to because they're going to give you that attaboy, good job. You did an amazing job, right? Jeanette, what do you mean by how? How what? You got to remember there's a lag. So if you're asking a question, guys, make sure you reiterate what it is that I was talking about because I won't know where we're at. So find the character that you are. Do you like to teach? That's where I am, right? That's the kind of leader I am. I love to coach. I love to mentor. I love to teach and instruct, right? I love to share my knowledge. Hi, Andrea. How do you find a way to lead? Okay, so that's what we're going to get into. And Jeanette, she's another one on my team. There's a bunch of you guys in here. That's pretty cool. Yay. And I'm also a leader that says, hey, you need to seek out as much training as you possibly can from everybody, from every walk of life. And the reason that I say that is because just because I lead a certain way and I'm going to teach you to lead a certain way does not mean that it fits your style of leading. Right? So that's what this is all about. Oh, these questions are just swarming in. Hold on a minute. This is perfect, Edie. Thank you. This is where I am now on my little team is growing. Okay, awesome. How do you teach without feeling like you're being overbearing? Heather, I'm going to touch on that. Guess I never thought about creating a page for my team before. Oh my gosh, yes, you need to. So that was the first thing I mentioned. If you have a team of somebody other than you that's in your downline, start your group page now, right? Create that community. I had 2 people. The first month that I had recruited people was February. I had joined December 30th of 2010. And in January, I don't believe I recruited anybody. But then in February, it was our bonus kit. And I think I got like 3 people that month. And so as soon as I had people, I couldn't wait to create my own page so that we could be our little team of 4. Okay, so let's go back. How do you teach? Are you peeing on my floor? Did you really just pee on Mommy's floor? It's raining outside, so what does she do? She pees on the floor. Hey, babe. Lucy just peed on the floor. So in order to not feel overbearing, you're not overbearing if you're sharing information. They can take and leave what they want. They don't have to do everything that you tell them to do. That's the beauty of coaching and learning and mentoring, right? So Heather, as soon as you get it out of your head that you're overbearing, I don't know how teaching can be overbearing unless you're cracking a whip, which we don't do that, right? So don't think that you're being overbearing. If you're sharing information on how to do things, they can take what they want and leave the rest, right? Okay. I recently created a team page and wasn't ever getting any interaction. I became consistent and it's working now. They're engaged in listening and that's where it shut off. Andrea, sorry about that. So yeah, okay, so that's going to be a big part of what we're going to talk about is consistency. Are you a fan of tough love training, saying like it is, or prefer a kind cousin kind of encouragement? I worry about being too tough. So that's where you have to find your style, Crystal. Thank you, honey. That's where you need to find your style. I'm kind of a tough love. I pretty much tell you how it is. But I'll also, at the same token, allow for their learning, for their structure, for their needs and desires, because as good leaders, we're good listeners too, right? So there can be tough love to say, hey, you know what? If you're not doing any parties, I'm sorry, you're not going to get any sales. It's going to be very difficult. You're not going to get new customers, right? So that's kind of tough love. But if it's not in your character to be that way, then I'm not going to suggest you do it because it's going to come across as being mean, right? So that's why I'm saying it's so important for you to figure out your character. What are you comfortable with? Oh, I have too funny. Okay. Consistency is key in everything. Yes. Hi, Ashley. Another one of mine. Okay. The reason it's moving is because I'm going through the comment. Well, that was one of the things that I talked about was creating a team page. As soon as you have one person under you, create a team page. And if you missed it, I'm sorry. You can start over again. We can watch this later. But that's what I'm saying is if you are, you know, the funny thing is I was a cheerleader in high school, but I was flipping loud and boisterous. Like I was the bottom of the pyramid. I was the tough one. So in a sense, that was where the tough love was coming from, right? I have that teacher characteristic in me. If you don't, then don't lead that way, right? This is where it's so important for you to understand what it is that you want out of this business and to listen to find out what it is that they want out of their business so that you can coach them, you can lead them, you can encourage them, right? I'm getting one by the end of the month. I'm comfortable in being a cheerleader and sharing info. Knowledge is power. See? So if you're comfortable in being a cheerleader, then that is the type of leader you need to be. Sharing info. Love it. Right? So again, nobody is going to be a leader like Edie. Nobody is going to be a leader like Christina Stainbrook. Nobody is going to be a leader like Kimberly Polito. Nobody is going to be the same as someone else. And as soon as you stop comparing yourself to somebody else, the easier it's going to be you. Did you know that? The sooner you stop comparing yourself to another leader, the easier it's going to be you as a leader. I have the psychology side. I listen and give my insight and make people see other side. So you're an influencer. I have to find a way to move my team leaders out of being dependent on me. They feel like they can't do what I do or have the time to lead. Edna, the reason that they're like that is because you let them. You allowed the hand-holding to happen. So now it's hard to let go. Because there's personalities out there, right, that would prefer somebody else do it for them. Right? So that's a little bit of tough love, right, Edna? I was, gosh, you guys, these are so quick. I was a little cheerleader with a loud voice and bottom bass too, Edie, and I'm a teacher full-time and find that I tend to be the way with my team at times. Yeah. Right? So we want to encourage, we want to lift people up, but we also want to be like, hey, matter of fact-ish, this is what's worked. And it's not just because I've done it. I've watched, 25 other people do it. right? So we tend to be a bit more, and I don't want to get stuck on this, but it seems like it's a big topic for you guys, right? It's finding out what kind of leader you are. I totally get what you're saying. I am pretty poly positive, but with touch of real. Yes, find my way to lead. Awesome. I have to run, but we'll watch in the morning. Okay. Have a great night. So, and to go back to you, Edna, it happens. I've done it. And it is very difficult to let go and to kind of, you know, push them off on their own. But it gets to a point where you can be like, okay, you know what? I showed you how to do this. How about you try it this time? You know, so put it in a learning form, in an educational form, like a teacher would, and say, okay, I have shown you, I've done it for you a couple times. So if I start you off, you can find it in the workstation here. Why don't you go see if you can find it and come back? And then if they do come back, don't answer them right away. Allow them to have to kind of go find it. And by you not answering, you're giving them that leeway to say, okay, well, I need this answer now, and she's not answering me. They might be upset with you a little bit if they're used to getting, you know, quick answers, which I suggest you don't. But they'll get it eventually. And the more you allow them to do on their own, and you can do it gradually, but the more you allow them to do on their own, the better of a leader they will become. Okay? So what happens is we breed the same kinds of people. If we've been hand-holding from the beginning, then that person, once they start recruiting, is going to be hand-holding. And then all of a sudden now we've got a bunch of dependent consultants rather than independent consultants, right? I hand-held my first 2 recruits, and once I stopped, they went inactive. I learned the hard way on the next recruits to give them some independence. That's why we're called independent consultants, right? Hi, Christina. It is a chain reaction. It certainly is. You know, and like Ashley's one of my front line. She knows that she can come to me with questions and opinions, and a lot of times I get back to my people fairly quickly, but a lot of times it's also, I don't know if they even realize it. Maybe I'm giving my secret away, but it kind of, a lot of times it's role reversal, and I'll say, well, what do you think about this? Or, you know, maybe this is how I think about it. What about you? Or I'll just point to them where it is. But then also, if I'm in a rush or if I'm in a hurry, I'll just answer them, right? So that's what we tend to do. We're in a rush, we're in a hurry, we're like, okay, yes, the answer's right here, right? So we tend to do that without even really thinking about it, especially if we're extremely busy, like right now, right? Because we're all busy in the busy season. So the first thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is creating a group for your team of 1 or more. Start creating that culture right away. I'm struggling with my very first recruit. She got used to being the only one on my team and getting my full attention. She is having a hard time sharing me now that the team is grown. Yep. And you know what, Dina? There is a special connection that you can have with your very first consultant because you're growing together. And that's what you need to impress on her. And say, you know what? You've been with me almost from the beginning, and I am just so honored to be on this journey with you. And I would love your help on the team page. Give her some ownership to it, maybe. You know, that can definitely help. She's needing her ego stroked. Stroke it. It's okay, right? You teach us how to fish, right? So it's funny because I did the team page when I grew my team last year. It has helped them and me. Yes. Yes. Good. Okay. So I guess the biggest thing about the team page, I'll go back to that for a minute. The team page creates the culture right from the beginning. It creates how you want to structure your team. It creates, because every time someone comes in, have you ever seen, I think it's a video or maybe it's a commercial. I think it's a video. And they show a person coming into the waiting room, and I don't know what kind of it's a doctor's office of some kind. And every time there's a tone that goes off, the person that was sitting there before stands up and then sits down. And every time somebody comes in the office and there's a waiting room, when the tone goes off, that person will stand up. Well, eventually, the entire waiting room is conformed to the fact that when that tone goes off, everybody stands up for a second and then sits down. You need to look that up. So what happens is, by creating your team page right away, you are creating that culture that whenever somebody new gets brought in, it's welcome. Ask anybody that's in the TPS family. When somebody new comes into our group, we always introduce them, and it's culture that everybody says, welcome, glad to have you here. It's a team culture that we have created. And that was from the very beginning, because when I had my first 2-3 people in there, it was, hey, welcome to the group, welcome. Right? So by creating that team page right away, you're not only building your culture, but you're building how you want to be as a leader and how you want to be viewed as a leader. Okay? So that whole adage of me saying at the very beginning, if you want to be a director, act like one, that's a great place to start. Judy, your connection is always in and out. Poor thing. So having that culture, creating the type of leader that you want to be, figuring out what type of leader that is, and allowing yourself to be the leader. Now, the only major consistency between all leaders is leading by example, right? And creating a team culture that will allow growth. That whole growth mentality, right? We learned that at Reunion. The other thing that this is one of the hints that I had, kind of a golden nugget. And those of you that are in my team, you're going to recognize this. But when I became director, it was 3 years before I hit star director. And I remember thinking to myself, holy Hannah, if this could ever become more stagnant than it already is, I'm in trouble. And I had felt like my team just wasn't growing. We would grow, we'd slack off. We'd grow, we'd slack off. And there just didn't seem to be, there was something missing. And I remember having a conversation with Jason Harwood, and he said, you know what, Edie? He says, what are you doing with your team? And I said, well, we have a team page. We do a Monday night call. Every Monday night I do a call. A lot of times I have guest speakers. We'll have a topic that we talk about, and we do a lot of training. And he said, and how's that working for you? And at first I was like, okay, well, I mean, I think that's good because everybody's getting training. Hi, Lisa. Everybody's getting training, and we're getting together once a week, but not a lot of people are showing up. And he said, okay. He goes, what if you're having a call on recruiting one night, on Monday night? And he said, first of all, is this the only way that you get team trainings out? I said, yeah, the weekly call as well as my team page. And we didn't have live back then, obviously. He said, what if somebody is really good at recruiting and you're having a training on recruiting? Are they going to come? And I said, probably not. He goes, what if you have a team call on booking parties and you have a few people that are good at booking parties? Are they going to come? No, probably not. Were you asking them to do the training, the people that were good? No, I was having outside people come in and do training. So he gave me a challenge, and he said, for the next 6 months, he goes, I want you to stop doing your Monday night meetings. And I gasped because I thought, you know what, that's the only verbal connection besides Facebook that I was getting with my team, and I loved it, and I was going to miss it because I'd open the call at the end and we kind of ask questions and yeah, blah, blah, blah. So I stopped. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of people showing up to that Monday night meeting. It was a call, like I said. And, you know, I had maybe 200 people on my team at that time, and maybe 10 would show up on the call, if that. So that was frustrating in itself, right? Having team meetings and nobody showing up. He said, I want you to focus on one-on-one calls. And I went, He goes, I want you to focus on one-on-one calls. I want you to connect with your frontline and then your team and have one-on-one conversations with people rather than trying to squish everybody into a Monday night call on a topic that might not help them. And, you know, pretty much doing roulette and hoping that a topic is going to hit somebody that they need, right? The topic that they need. So I started doing one-on-one calls. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing because of the fact that I could talk to Lisa and we could have a conversation, and maybe she needed help on, and Lisa, I'm just using it as an example. You know, maybe she needed help on events that week because she had an event scheduled that month. And so we could talk in detail about doing events and have it help her specifically in her business. I could talk to Ashley, and she might be struggling with why she's doing Scentsy in the first place. And so we have a conversation about her why, and we try to figure out what her why is. And right, and we all get our personal time with Edie. But it's so much more valuable, not only for me to learn about my team, but more so for the consultant, because the consultant is getting one-on-one specified training that they need that's specific to their business. So here's the other thing that kind of happens. When you open up your schedule like that, and I have a certain amount of time that I select that they're able to choose from, and they can pick times. Sometimes they do it once a month. Sometimes they do it whenever they need a little boost. At one point, I had people doing it once a week. That got a little much, so now we've kind of extended it to once a month. But you can set that up. You can figure that out. And what happens is the people that want help, the people that want to succeed, are the ones that are going to reach out, right? Then you get leftovers of the people that don't need the help and are succeeding anyway, and then the people that are going to go inactive and drop off anyway, right? So now you're not spending time on people who don't want it. You're a lot more specified, and there was another thing that Jason taught me about, and that was efficiency versus effective. Efficiency was trying to cram learning into a Monday night meeting, right? Trying to be efficient. Effective is having one-on-one calls that are getting straight to the topic that particular person needs. So I don't care if you're not a director yet. Why are you not having these types of calls, at least with your frontline? They chose you as their sponsor. You should be having these intimate conversations with them to figure out what makes them tick, what's going to make them succeed, what do they really want out of this business, what is their why. So you select a time for your team to pick when it works for them for one-on-one calls. Correct. We can focus on time and energy on the people who want it and need it. Exactly. So there is absolutely no reason that if you are not a director yet, that you can't be having these one-on-one calls with your frontline. You're creating your culture right from the beginning, right? Yes, thank you, Edie. I really need this. You're welcome. How long do you keep asking them to sign up for calls? Look, I don't keep asking them. I post it. It's a pinned post on my team page. Maybe once a month, if that. I'll put a reminder on the team page, especially if I'm not getting any scheduled calls. I'll post a thing and say, hey guys, don't forget you can get some of my time if you go and schedule a call. I use a program called scheduleonce.com. We shouldn't run to everyone. Let them come to you. They will appreciate it more. Very true. How long do you keep at? Oh yeah, I already got that one. And usually I give them a full hour. And see, the beauty of, for me especially, of allotting certain times with that program, they go in, I tell them what times they can select from, and then once they schedule it, it pops right on my Google Calendar for me, and it blocks off that time. So I know that I have a focused amount of time for that individual on the call. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's an hour, but I try to give them that hour if they need it, depending on whatever we're talking about. Some people just call to check in and tell me how their month is going, right? I just find that okay, so let me give you some statistics. He gave me a time frame of 6 months to work on that. I did it for the full 6 months, and within, I think it was in the 10th month of me doing that, I promoted to star director. Tell me that didn't work. Right? Well, because you have people that are laser focused now, because we're talking about what they want to talk about. You know, if I never have calls, if I have a call every 6 months about doing events, and you have never done an event and probably will never do one, then what is that helping you? I'm not helping you, right? What a difference it made. Absolutely. It made a huge difference. So that's why when I was asked to do this talk tonight, I thought, you know what? I'm going to talk to them about something that is tangible to what it is that they're trying to accomplish. And right now, you should be laser focused on building your team, training your team. What if you reach out and they never seem interested? There are a couple who I message and comment to on our team page, and they seem uninterested in communicating. What can you do? What can you do? See, and that's the thing, is we kind of get hung up. We cannot want this for anyone. We can't want it for anyone. There are going, and I'm going to build the house tonight. If you have not heard my building house analogy, you're about ready to hear it. You can't want this for anyone. They need to want it themselves. It's the whole adage, you cannot lead them to water, or you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink it. You can't shove their head under there without drowning them, right? That's where the overbearing and the overpowering and overwhelming comes from, right? Kristen, stop chasing them. They have to want it. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, they have to want it for themselves. They do. And it's so hard, right? Because we love what we do. We love it. Why doesn't everybody else love it? Right? Just doesn't make any sense. But it is hard, Kristen, and I get it. But you can only do what you can do. And if you have reached out and you have tagged them and you have emailed them and you have potentially texted them or called them, listen, if they're not getting back to you, that's like chasing a bad boyfriend, right? If he doesn't want you, he doesn't want you. So building the house basically means, and this is what I mean by not everybody is going to want a mansion, first of all. And so when you're building a house, okay, so this is something that I want you to really focus on and visualize in your head so that you can understand how your organization is going to get built. Okay? As a director, what is your organization going to look like? You need to have a really visual concept of what that's going to look like. And I'm going to go through that with you right now. So you can close your eyes and visualize it with me if you'd like. You can draw it out on paper if you'd like, but I really think that the visualization or the connection to paper needs to be done so that you really understand how this business is built, okay? I lost my first team person last December and it was hard. I cried. It's not for everybody, and not everybody's going to get it. Or you're going to have somebody like a Kimberly Polito, who was my front line and for a full year did absolutely nothing with her business. Nothing. I didn't push her. I reached out to her. When she wanted to reach back, she did. And all of a sudden, a year later, I get a message from her saying, hey, things have changed in my life. I really want to make this work. What do I need to do? I said, okay, hold on, let's go. And look at her now. Keeps tabs all the time. You can do things because you're told not to, and vice versa. Stop and they will come. Yeah, sometimes. You going to bed? I love you. Mwah. Okay, so you're building a house. If you want to shut the TV, that'd be great. When you build, and here's the analogy. She is our guest speaker Thursday. Yay! I love me some Kimberly. Yes, she is. She is. She has grown into an absolutely amazing leader and friend, and I adore her. She's got a very strong will, and that is what's going to get her to superstar director, without a doubt. So, building a house. When you're building a house, one of the very first things that you need to do is you need to assess the land. You need to make sure that it's flat. You need to make sure that there's not big rocks. You got to make sure that the people that are going to be building the house are reputable. You need to make sure that you can get all of the materials and the supplies that you need ordered so that it can show up on the site at the time that the builders do. So there's a lot of preparation in regards to building your house, okay? As you begin that process, the first people that typically show up are going to be your landscapers, the people that are going to make the ground flat so that when the concrete comes and they can pour the foundation, that everything is level in the way that it should be. You get the concrete in, rebar is in there, framework is starting to come up. There's a vital piece to a house that without it, the house would potentially crumble. And that's your foundation. Okay, whether it's a hollow foundation or a solid foundation, doesn't matter. There has to be a foundation to hold that house up. So now I want you to look at your Scentsy business. I'm sorry, I feel like my tag must be scratching my back and it's bugging me. Sorry. So look at the preparation, the buying of supplies, the organizing of builders, all of that portion being the part where you buy your kit, you become a consultant, you try to figure out who your customers are, you're kind of feeling around to figure out, what does my landscape look like? Who are my customers? Where am I going to find the builders? All of that preparation work happens prior to pouring the foundation, right? Give me some hearts if you agree so far. So in comparison, that is the beginning phases of your business. So then you start pouring your foundation. Your foundation starts to be the collecting of customers and the recruiting of people. So as you are filling the foundation and making it a bit more solid, right? You got more recruits coming in, you got more people coming in, you got customers, you got more people, more people, more people. The more people, okay, think about this, close your eyes. The more people that you have in your business, the more solid the mesh becomes, and the more sturdy your house is going to be, your business, okay? So that means that you're going to have your regular customers. That means that you're going to have your kidnappers. That means that you're going to have your consultants that are only doing 200 every third month, or even 200 every month. You need a lot of those, right? You need a lot of customers, and you need a lot of base running consultants, foundation filling consultants. You need a lot of people and a lot of frontline that are doing only the 200. Those people are super important to have as part of your foundation, because as the foundation shifts and now you've got a crack in your foundation, you must fill it with another person. So someone turns out, you need to fill that crack with another kidnapper. You need to fill that crack with another customer or another 200 minimum consultant. That needs to stay solid all the time. And when cracks build because somebody fell out, you need to fill it with somebody else. Because what's going to happen is sometimes cracks are created not by somebody canceling out, but by promoting. Now all of a sudden you've got somebody who's doing 500 every month, right? That's where we need to be. That's the minimum every consultant needs to be, right? Because 500 is when we get paid bonus on our team. So that's the place to start, right? And so you're going to have people that are doing 500 now that are building your baseboards. You know, they get all the baseboards coming now on the house, right? And then all of a sudden that person promotes to lead because they're building their own foundation next door. They get their own house going, right? So now as star consultants come and superstar consultants come, your walls are being built, and then you've got directors because your roof is being built. And then when they hit superstar director, they're building their house next door to you. They're no longer in your house, right? So it's so important that that foundation get built right from the beginning. And so when we say, gosh, they're not getting back to me, but they're putting in their 200 every third month, let them. Yay. Because that just means that's a solid rebar in your foundation, right? That is a solid spot that is not going to crack. And if it does, I fill it with somebody else, right? Because I've got so many customers in there too that are playing in that foundation that one of them is bound to become a consultant and make the foundation just a little bit more solid. I got your foundation, but I'm moving to the roof. I love that, Ashley. I love it. So, but do you see why it is so important to build the foundation and to be okay with the kidnappers and to be okay with the people that are only buying for a discount and to be okay for the people that are just doing 200 every third month or maybe just 200 every month to become active? We love them. We need a lot of them, right? Because from there, grow our leads and our stars and our superstar consultants. So we just got to keep filling in that foundation so it doesn't crack and crumble apart, right? So I guess I've been rambling a lot longer than I thought I would. Aha. I guess I want to make sure that you guys leave here tonight with the understanding that it's the right way to be a leader is based on your character. Don't lead like I do, right? Don't try to be somebody else. Be you. Lead like you do. If you're a cheerleader, then cheer, right? If you're a teacher, then teach. And find others to lift up beside you. There she is, my Kimberly. Bring someone beside you to lift people up with you, right? So I forget who it was that mentioned that her first consultant is feeling left out now because her team is growing. I want to make sure that you empower her, right? If she's been there from the beginning, you want to empower her and make her feel super uber important because she is. She's helped you grow this business, right? She's the one that made your team, right? Give her some leadership, right? Empower her. Empower everybody that's on your team. You know, from the very beginning, I should have been saying, hey, you know what? Kimberly, you rock at Facebook parties. Why don't you do a training for us? But I wasn't doing that. I was getting outside people to come and do training. You know, Kimberly's been with me for a while. I don't know if she remembers. Were you around when we did Monday night calls? So be a leader of yourself. Create a group for a team of one, right? Start building your culture of your team right from the beginning, okay? 2, lead like you. Don't try to lead like somebody else. Don't try to be like somebody else because you can't. Lead like you. Find the character that fits right for you as a leader. And then support your team. Okay? Make sure you fill your foundation, right? Make sure that you are looking at those people that are just doing the minimums as a very strong piece of your team. Okay? They all have a role to play. I hope you guys got something out of this. Oh, and the one-on-one calls, right? That was a big key for me. The one-on-one calls was a game changer in my business. It was 3 years. I was sitting at director, and that conversation with Jason, he gave me 6 months, and within 10 months after that, I had promoted to star director. So I know that it made a big difference. And I'm not saying, you know what, if you like to do group trainings, absolutely do them, especially if you can do them locally and you can get together. I love those. I wish I could do those more, but we don't have anybody that lives near me. Let me go back and read. Bear with me for a moment, please. Okay. That's okay. I love watching you talk. You were the first consultant I watched on YouTube when I joined last September. Keep going. Thanks, Kristen. Yay. Kimberly, we were just talking about you. Yes, we were. Be true to yourself and stop comparing yourself to everyone's chapter 10 when you are chapter 1. Nice. Thank you for sharing. This was me with the first consultant. That was me with the first consultant. Remember, you can't want it for them, right? I have 3 awesome consultants friends under me. Then make sure you have a team page. Start your culture right away, right? I just trained 2 new teamies who will become lead next month. What? That's awesome. I am crazy and they know it. I am a farm girl and one is 2, so that connected us. Right. Yay. This was very helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. There's only one you. Huh? That's what my husband says. Loved this. Game changer. Oh, wow. Edna, good. You would travel to me, wouldn't you? I think there'd be a few people that would say they would travel to me until they're sitting in the car for 4 hours from the most expensive airport to fly into to come out in the boonies where I live. I wanted to have a leadership retreat out here, and it's too far. I'm doing a guest spot on Zoom for a director I met in Punta Cana because I was lead and earned it with one teamie. Can be done. Now I have a team of 7. Woohoo! Virtual high five. That's amazing, Cam. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So do you guys have any questions before I hang up and let you guys go for the evening? Any questions? Thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Wasn't really even sure what this group was all about until I got plopped in here, and I love it. Especially the fact that there's a bunch of my group in here. Love it. All right, you guys. Oh, I love you too. Have an amazing evening, you guys, and I hope you found something of value in here. Maybe if you want in the comments below, which you have been commenting below already, maybe you want to share your aha moment. That'd be awesome. All right? Okay, have a great night. Good night. Thanks, Amanda.